Hi. Hi, I'm David. Continuation of autistic symptoms. Next one. Difficulty with change. This is the next horrible and disfiguring symptom of autism. Again, who has the difficulty? The patient or those around the patient, preferring they handle change a different way, their way? How could this even be measured? Bad grade at school or grandparent dying? What is the normal way of dealing with these or any situation? Psychologists are so fucking brilliant. Maybe they should put a step-by-step guide in the DSM-5 for the proper or medically acceptable way to deal with any of the millions of change moments in our life. If you, the professionals, cannot, then shut the fuck up and remove this as a symptom. Next. Challenge with emotional regulation. I think part of the issue with autism symptoms is they can be outgrown, in my opinion, which is correct, at least until another person has the balls to question my story, my own reversal. Please, prove me wrong. I dare you. I double dare you, pussies. You see, I handle my emotional regulation issues with sarcasm and humor and expressing my emotions however the fuck I want. Is that okay with you, doctor? Maybe the emotions of autistics are also hypersensitive. Not really a problem if you allow them to process emotion at their own speed. They may not have an answer to the question, why are you angry, in the heat of the moment. In the heat of the moment, they may not have an answer to the question, why are you angry? But why is it such a horrible idea to allow the individual time to calm down and explain? Is that a bad idea too, doctor? It is, according to the DSM-5. This behavior is unacceptable and, of course, uncorrectable. That's autism. What can you do? Next patient. To me, this sounds like a child. To me, this sounds like a child living a situation out of their control with no ability to share and release emotions. But I'm probably wrong. You should trust the DSM-5 over a lunatic wannabe comedian with a chip on her shoulder about the cunts who created psychology without having a single concept of how the human mind and body works. But I'm probably wrong. You should trust the DSM-5 over a lunatic wannabe comedian with a chip on his shoulder about the cunts who created psychology without having a single concept of how the human mind and body works. And ultimately, this is another symptom which would not exist Ultimately, this is another symptom which, if did not exist, would benefit the parent, not the patient. All autism symptoms benefit the parent. Alone, there's no issue, nobody to judge. Next symptom. Difficulty in forming and maintaining relationships. Okay, DSM-5, you got me. Guilty. Okay, DSM-5, you got me. Guilty. Now what? Who cares? Whose choice is it to maintain a relationship? Isn't that a two-party agreement? So the second party doesn't like the autistic's behavior and takes him to therapy to change? However, I am guilty. If there is a person in my life who is not enjoying their time with me, or I'm not enjoying my time with them, they have a choice, and I have a choice, to maintain or end the relationship. Who is disappointed about who is disappointed about not maintaining the relationship? The autistic or their friend and family? Is the autistic going to their doctor saying, why can't I maintain a relationship? Or is their parent or partner the one with the problem? I believe once again, this is a choice, not a trait of some mental illness or condition. But who knows? I haven't had a verbal conversation live in person. I haven't had a verbal conversation. I haven't had a live verbal conversation with the person I care about in a couple of years, to be exact. Why? Because it's my choice as a free human to conduct my friendships as required to keep myself sane first. Then I'll start slowly dealing with the bullshit. Then I'll start slowly dealing with the bullshit and drama that comes with relationships with friends and family. My choice, not a symptom. Next. Preference for a routine. Back to something that should be a basic human right. I'm starting to think these doctors hate anyone who doesn't think, act, behave, respond exactly like their perfect selves. I'm starting to think these doctors hate anyone who doesn't think, act, behave, respond exactly like their perfect selves. Let me guess. The patient's preference for routine affects the feelings of those around them. It's not a problem for the patient, right? So again, patients lining up for treatment of this disgusting symptom. So again, are patients lining up for treatment of this disgusting symptom? Are they going to their doctor saying, I hate having a preference for a routine? Or are parents asking the doctor for help because they want their kid to do it their way? How can anything called a preference be a symptom? It's a fucking preference. Free will, free choice. Do what you prefer. Literal thinking. This is a sister symptom to the nonverbal bullshit, says a guy who hasn't spoken for 2 years. While I understand this concept, I've experienced it with others while making a dark, sarcastic response and then waiting for the light to go on in their head when they realize it's a joke. Or I have to explain myself and the joke for me being too literal. Again, I would suggest or think or believe that at some stage the person figures out the non-literal meanings. If they don't, maybe they're too lazy to figure it out. Or maybe they're too dumb. Aren't autistics supposed to be smart? Once again, if alone this is not a symptom, impossible without another human present. But I guess if you are labeled autistic, you have no choice. You'll be this way forever, no matter what. You'll never be able to change. Because according to doctors, not a single autistic person has ever cured a single symptom. As a former autistic person, that statement offends me. Who the fuck are you to say I can't change? Show me the biology, motherfucker. Which blood marker? Which gene? Show me an MRI. Anything but a fucking questionnaire, please. You can't, because this is not a symptom of a medical or mental health condition. It's two individuals or more who have not defined the terms of their relationship. For professionals, the creators of the DSM-5 don't seem to understand the basics of human commitment. But the professionals, the creators of the DSM-5, don't seem to understand the basics of human communication. Maybe they need an entry for themselves. Is CUNTS taken? Oops, sorry doctor. I know anger is not allowed as an acceptable emotion. Oh well, add it to my list. Social anxiety. Do I really need to keep explaining the issue? You can't label something that is immeasurable as a symptom. Stay home, no anxiety. Only go comfortable places, no anxiety. Do fun things, no anxiety. Hang with people you love, no anxiety. But do a bunch of shit because you think you have to please friends, family, society, whoever, then yes, big fucking surprise, you get anxious at a wedding. The only smart thing the DSM-5 authors did was make autism a spectrum. This covers their ass, but in reality, everyone experiences social anxiety. It's a part of life. And those that don't, the ones who love being the center of attention at a party, are fake as fuck. I wouldn't trust them in an emergency to help me in a second. They'd probably pull out their phone and film it. If you don't have social anxiety, then that should be labeled a condition, but otherwise remove this as a trait. Next, rigid thinking patterns. Pretty rigid about my thinking patterns about autism. Is that a problem, doctor? Do you fucking mind? Wow, people really hate anyone with autism symptoms. Thinking patterns? How do you know how I think? And it's none of your fucking business. I'm not even going to entertain that with any more criticism because it's so fucking stupid. Monotone or atypical speech. Might as well add nonverbal to this as well. I'm pretty sure today my speech isn't monotone or atypical. Well, actually, it might be atypical. It's not monotone. How about this? If my speech patterns bother you, if they are unacceptable in a DSM-5 approved society, then don't talk to me. Fuck off. I don't care. When I walk on stage as a comedian, I hope you hear my real voice. I don't care if it's monotone, atypical, mumble, or a whisper, as long as it sounds like me, not fake. Humans speak at different rates because our brains process words at different speeds. I would think this is normal. But again, alone, who cares? If I practice my comedy set alone in my room, who cares about my monotone? Nobody. It's not a symptom. If I'm on stage, again, who cares as long as they laugh? At me, my looks, at the monotone, at the jokes, at whatever. Who cares? If I'm on stage, who cares as long as they laugh? I don't care if they laugh at me, my looks, my monotone, my jokes, my whatever. Who cares as long as they laugh? How about this? As a former artistic person, I personally and heartfeltedly apologize to anyone I've offended in the past by my speech pattern. I'm so sorry you were born with only the ability to understand normal speech, and anything outside of normal is more than your tiny, narrow mind can handle. I apologize. I apologize and will never do it again. Can we now remove this as a trait? If not, fuck you, doctor. Is that monotone enough? Difficulty in understanding others' emotions. Sometimes I think the DSM-5 dinks, my new childish nickname for them, don't understand how emotions work. Or did someone invent a way to measure emotions and forget to tell me? Emotions cannot be measured. Until you can, maybe remove this as a trait or symptom or whatever. Oh, and also, it's an external issue, friends and family, not the patients. Nobody should be expected to read others' emotions. I think any sensitive person, with or without the autistic label, understands emotions just fine. They simply choose to express their emotions differently, and you may not understand their method. How is that a symptom? Don't both parties have the same issue? If there are no others, there is no condition. Alone, autism does not exist. Next, meltdowns or shutdowns. I know I sound like a broken record, but isn't this a part of life? Being overwhelmed can lead to both. Or I guess this is another unacceptable behavior as dictated by the dickhead DSM-5 Nazi doctors. Or I guess this is another unacceptable behavior as dictated by the dickhead DSM-5 Nazi doctors. So no psychologist, psychiatrist, therapist, etc. has ever had a meltdown or shutdown? Never as a child, teen, adult, parent? And of course, none of their children display these behaviors. And all are perfect angels because their psychology degree taught them how to raise a perfect child, not life. How about, doctor, instead of adding this to the autism label where he can then dismiss it by saying, autism, nothing you can do. You can do your job and find the source of the meltdown or shutdown. Ever consider that? What if every shutdown happens after parents train delay? What if every shutdown happens after a parent's behavior? Yelling, fighting, passed out on the couch? Is that the child's fault and subsequent symptom? Do your job. Find the root cause and go from there, doctor. Don't throw it in the autism pot because you're too fucking lazy to do your job. Or are you just following protocols or whatever excuse you are using? Are you in the business of helping or labeling? It's very surely AI will be able to out-diagnose you in a minute. Then what, doctor? Make up some new shit for the DSM-5? Maybe anyone who uses AI doctor can be considered insane. Imagine having access to a highly intelligent system that uses logic and miles of past life data compared to the psychologist who spends 20 minutes, although probably has good intentions in helping others, is in the business because of their own past trauma. Or maybe they all live perfect lives. Or maybe they all live perfect label-free lives. Who knows? I think before I would let a doctor talk to my child about anything, I'd like to meet their children and determine for myself if they are good kids or well-raised, or hellraisers pretending to be normal for the psychologist parent. I think before I let a doctor talk to my child about anything, I'd like to meet their children and determine for myself if they're good kids or hellraisers pretending to be normal psychologist parent. I'll bet therapist kids are the best actors in the world. They know the exact tone to keep their parent at bay. Yes, Mom. Yes, Dad. Sure thing. Well, I guess that's the end of my meltdown about autism symptoms. Now I'm going to shut down before I record this, so I'm not too emotional or not non-verbal enough for a general audience, if you don't mind, Doctor. Well, that's the end of my shutdown. That's the end of my meltdown. Now I'm going to shut down before I record this, so I'm not too emotional or not non-verbal enough for a general audience, if you don't mind, Doctor. Actually, I changed my mind. This new pen is almost out of ink after 2 hours of writing, and now I might as well write it out until the end. I'm Dave. I'm a retired autistic senior. I get it. Psychology labels make it easier for you to group diagnose people. But why not look at every person who comes through the door without labels, only facts? Hi, I'm David. I'm a retired autistic senior. I get it, psychology. I get it, psychology. Labels make it easy for you to group diagnose people. But why not look at every person who comes through the door without labels, only facts? You dumb fucks.